Hey everyone, this is Carrie, and this class is going to be more of a deep stretch. I'm not going to call it yin or restorative, um, but it's going to be a little bit longer holds, not a lot of flow for anything. Um, Deep stretch for low back issues if you want to stretch out that low back a bit. Knowing that just stretching out, if you have low back pain or discomfort, is not a cure-all. Most of the time you need to strengthen it and especially strengthen the surrounding muscles. But this class is going to be more about holding some poses and stretching. So to get started, let's start on our backs. We're not going to need any props unless you want them. Let's start on your back. And if you have low back issues, I highly suggest coming into a constructive rest pose, which is having your knees bent, feet on the floor, feet wider than your hips, and then tenting or knocking your knees in towards each other. This takes pressure off your low back and kind of eases a lot of the tension of muscles that you might not even know that you're used to using and holding because they're so internal. So it's a weird name, but it is called constructive rest pose. Take your hands on your belly. Let your pinkies kind of be towards your belly and your thumbs be towards your low rib cage. And take some big inhales in, fill up through your belly, and feel your hands rise as you do so. And then slow exhale and feel your whole trunk area here collapse in nice and softly. And then inhale, fill up. Slow inhale, and then exhale just as long, if not longer, than your inhales. Let's do that one more time. Inhale in and exhale out. Good. I invite you to use your breath however you like through this class. You don't have to use an ujjayi breath or anything. Just make sure that you have a focused breath. Let your knees come apart, and you can bring your arms out to the side softly, like a soft T, and let your knees start to windshield wiper slowly side to side. You might notice as you get all the way towards one side, maybe you feel some pinching in your low back. And if that's the case, notice that you're not pulling up through your low back, but instead you're punching your low back towards the floor and lengthening that top knee forward and down. So you can control what muscles are being used, even though it looks we're kind of flopping side to side with your knees, you still have full control over what's going on. Okay. And then come back through center. Bring both knees into your chest. You can hold on to your shins, maybe clasp your hands, and let yourself rock a little side to side. Try to get your tailbone closer to the floor versus lifted. And then take your hands on your knees and press your knees forward. Now as you press your knees forward, your hands are glued to your knees. As you keep pressing forward, you can't help but lift your head and shoulders, but your low back is imprinted to the floor. And then open your knees out wide, bring them around to the front, come back around, head is back to the floor. As you press your knees forward, thighs are together, lift forward. There's not much work being done in your head and neck. You're just following what your hands are doing until you rotate through your knees and come back around. As you lift, press that low belly in, press low back into the mat, and then round and come back down. And then let's go the opposite way. Out, around, and up, and then slowly let yourself down. Come out, around, up. Slowly come back down. Your knees are guiding the movement here. As you come back down, keep your right knee in and clasp your hands around it and send your left foot to the floor. Really hug that right hip in, maybe right to the outside of your right rib cage, and then inch your left foot forward straight, only if it feels right to do so. As you inch your left foot forward, press energy out your heel, pull your left toes back towards your face. And as you press energy out your heel, pull your right knee in. So you're pressing out and pulling in this equal and opposite reaction. And then tighten your belly muscles. So those muscles from hip point across to hip point, like somebody's giving you a slight punch in the gut. And then soften your shoulders to the mat and keep that opposite push and pull happening within your legs. So this is a psoas stretch, which sometimes is a cause of low back issues. Whether it doesn't get worked, usually it's not worked enough. It's a hip flexor. It's a deep, deep, deep hip flexor. Good. Hold here and breathe. Notice if your shoulders inch up towards your ears, and soften your neck and soften your shoulders. Big breath in and big breath out. You can stay here. Here's an option to give you a little bit deeper stretch, is coming into a half happy baby pose. So walking your right hand up towards your right calf or ankle or the outside edge of your foot. But if you do this, make sure you try to keep that left hip and low back glued to the mat. We're still working that psoas on the left side. Take a big deep breath in and out. No matter where your leg is, place your right foot to the floor. Press into your right foot and shift your hips over to the right like an inch or two. Keep your left leg long. Bring your right knee into your chest. Guide it over to the left. And let's hook your back right foot to the back of your left thigh or knee. And then as you guide your right knee over, have your hand on your thigh, engaging, not really engaging is the right word, but having some leverage and weight from your hand, pressing your right thigh down and away and reaching your right arm to the side. Keep pressing energy through your left heel of your straight leg. Inhale and fill up through your entire rib cage, right to left. And a big, long, extended exhale. As you're pressing your right knee down and away with your left hand, reach even further up and away with your right hand. So you're getting that cross diagonal of your body and finding space being made from your right hip crease all the way up through your right armpit to your right fingertips. With your foot connected here, it's helping to keep your hips stacked over one another, and it's kind of working the SI joint area. Take one more inhale and slowly melt yourself back onto your back. Take your time getting there, reset and readjust. Let your legs start to windshield wiper again side to side. Again, you're controlling the movement here versus just flippy floppy. This helps to warm up your hip joints, your knees. Good. And then bring both knees into your chest. Give yourself a little hug. Hold on to your left shin with both hands. Send your right foot to the floor and first get a little bit comfortable here. So if you need to slide your knee and hip a little side to side, you can. If you're ready to send your right leg out straight, send it out straight. And then work on that equal and opposite pressures of sending energy out your right heel, pulling right toes back towards your face. Left knee is hugging and pulling in towards your left rib cage and left armpit. And then pull that belly tight across from hip point to hip point and up towards your heart. Even though we're holding here in stillness, you're still working the legs by pushing and pulling, the belly by engaging. So it doesn't look like there's any work being done maybe to the eye of the beholder, but you can feel it within yourself. So only you know what is going on within yourself. And you can kind of play around with it. Maybe you make a tiny, minute little adjustment here and there, and all of a sudden something feels a little bit better. Now we're working the psoas of the right leg. It's a compression stretch through your left hip, but we're lengthening and working through the right psoas. If you are ready, option is to definitely stay here. Otherwise, coming into a half happy baby pose on your left side. If you're coming into this happy baby, really think about pressing that right hip down, glue it down. If it starts to lift, maybe don't do the happy baby. Maybe come into clasping your hands right back where you started around your shins. Hug that belly down, flatten it down, and breathe. Soften your shoulders and soften your face. Good. Take one more inhale in. Long extended exhale out. Set your left foot to the floor. Keep your left knee bent. Press into your left foot enough where you can lift your hips and shift them over a couple inches. And you're coming onto the outside of your right hip. Hook your left foot behind your right knee and thigh. And then take your right hand and press your left thigh down and away from your left chest. Reach your left hand out to the side nice and wide. And let gravity take that left knee down along with your hand to deepen the twist. But again, the left knee and thigh are pressing away from your chest and over. Find space and length from the left hip crease, that rim of your left hip, all the way to your left armpit, all the way to your left fingertips. Big, deep inhale in through your rib cage. Let it expand, and then exhale, long, extended exhale. And slowly come back around, melt onto your back. Readjust to straighten yourself onto your mat. And let your legs once again rock a little side to side. And then take your time, either roll to one side or however you want to do it. Come all the way up into a tabletop. I'm going to check one thing here. Okay, come into a tabletop. So your wrists are underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. As you inhale, let your stomach drip down, but notice if you don't do anything here and you just let your stomach get heavy, you're probably feeling this in your low back more than anything. So learn how to control what's happening. Press your hands into the mat and try to energetically drag them back towards your knees. As you do so, pull your sternum and heart forward. And now you're working more of the upper back, widening across your collarbones and getting the pressure out of your low back. And then exhale round, tucking tailbone, tucking chin, rounding and stretching out through each vertebra. Inhale back to cow pose, but again, drag those hands back as you press your collarbone through. Exhale round. Good. Bring your knees together so they touch. glue your shins together, glue your heels together. Sit back onto your heels. Hug your belly in. Let your forehead lay to the floor. If you need something under your forehead, like a pillow, go for it. And then your hands can either come straight back or hold onto your heels. And then take a big inhale in. Squeeze your thighs towards each other and try to tuck your tailbone even more. Like you're trying to touch your tailbone to your heels, even if it doesn't. And then lengthen your ears away from your shoulders. And lengthen your neck like you're trying to reach your forehead forward. At the same time, you're trying to tuck your tailbone. Maybe you can feel this in your low back. If this is bad for your knees, for sure don't do it. And again, you're working certain parts of your body that nobody else can see. Only you can feel it. As you exhale, squeeze your thighs in. Try to tuck your tailbone even more and lengthen your forehead out even more. Good. Slowly come up. And as you exhale, slide forward into your Sphinx pose. So forearms are down. Slide your knees back. If you cannot see your elbow creases, like your arms are too far back, slide them forward. And have your arms in a number 11 pose. And then press. If this works, you can always clasp your hands too. If that helps to be able to press into your forearms and hands, it is for me. So do what you need to do to be able to find some engagement of pressing your hands and forearms into the mat. And then notice again, your low back is probably catching a lot of the heaviness of this pose. So pull your low belly away from the mat and a little tuck of your tailbone like you're trying to press those hip points or your pelvis into the mat. Squeezing your butt a bit and then release. And then squeeze your butt, tuck your tailbone under, try to pull that low belly away from the mat and release. So essentially what you're doing is you're lengthening your low back versus letting it curve up. So it's just these little pulses so you can get to know your body and how it moves. Sometimes we do things 1,000 times and we think we're like, yeah, we know what we're doing. And then all of a sudden that 1,001st time, you're like, shit, something clicks in your head. And you're like, now I feel something I've never felt in my life. How is this a whole new thing for me? But that's what building body awareness is. And the more body awareness you have, the more control you have over your body, that proprioception of knowing where your body is in space without actually seeing it. And a lot of times you can test that by taking a picture or a video of yourself by doing something, whether that's yoga or dance or whatever. And all of a sudden you watch it back and you're like, shit, I felt like my body was doing something totally different. And that's okay. It's just learning. It's not good or bad or otherwise. It's just learning what your body's doing in space. Good. One more time. That's what I just realized what this might look like to other people who don't know that I'm recording a class. All right, come back around. Slide your hands under your shoulders. Inhale, lift up. Find a child's pose here. Keep your knees wider this time. And then rock your body side to side. So you're getting more weight into your right shin as you tip to the right. And getting more weight into your left shin as you tip to the left. Sending your tailbone back behind you. Good. Come on back up. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at how silly, if people are just watching me, could be. Bring your legs around and come into a wide butterfly. So when I say a wide butterfly, I mean wide or extended, meaning your heels are further away from your crotch. If you narrow it in and you're really trying to get those feet close to your body, this is much more of a hip opener. The wider, longer open diamond you have will get more into your low back. So send your feet away. Keep your knees nice and wide. And then press your heels in towards each other. So I'm actually as if I have a quarter between my heels and I'm trying to hold it there. So use some energy to press your heels in and then feel this kind of tipping of your pelvis forwards and backwards. And as you tip forward and you're pressing your chest forward, keep there and then let yourself come forward. You're still using leverage of your heels pressing in and then a little forward fold as you tip your pelvis forward. You can hold on to your ankles or your feet. Let your shoulders relax. Let your face relax. Good. And then notice this hinge instead of rounding. Notice this hinge of the body coming up and down and stop where you feel a nice stretch in your low back. If you round, you might not feel as much. So maybe play with that rounding. Again, building that body awareness. Playing around, nothing hurts about playing around and seeing what's going on. Because maybe something I say is totally off just for that 1 in 100 person, people out there, and maybe that's you. Who knows? Good. Keep breathing. Breathe into your low back. Long extended exhales. Slowly come up. All right. Keep your right leg bent. Turn onto your right hand like you're kind of going to take this weird little beach picture or something. So your right leg is at a 45-degree angle. Stay on your right hand, then tap your left leg up and over. It's almost like a figure 4. And then walk your right hand forward a bit and press into your right hip. So it's almost like you're rocking forward versus opening. You're rocking forward. And then press your right leg into the floor. Use the floor as leverage. Press your whole entire right leg into the floor and then press your right hand down and away and your left arm into your left thigh. So when you use the floor as something to push off of, you're going to find some length and stretch through that right side, especially that right hip where a lot of connections are within our body. Take a big deep breath in. Press even more as you exhale. Notice my shoulder isn't slouching up. Deep breathing here. And slowly come up onto your hands if you're not already. Walk your right shin straight and then take your left shin over your right. So you're in this fire log pose. It's a double pigeon pose. And really, if you don't like it, you can sit cross-legged. Take your hands back behind you and shift your heart like you're in this back bend. So it's like a cow position one more time. Shifting your heart, shifting your pelvis forward. That's going to help bring both knees forward and lift up through your low back. Good. And then let your left leg start to go straight out. Pull your right foot into your left thigh. Take a little twist over towards your left toes. And then find a forward fold here. And as much as you want to just forward fold the heck out of this, make your intention of this pose pressing your right foot and thigh really hard into each other, and then pressing the back of your right glute and thigh and knee into the floor. So the intention of this pose today, right this moment, maybe not all the time, is your bent knee and hip more so than forward folding. So you don't have to go forward hardly at all or nothing at all. You can be all the way up and working on pressing that knee down into the floor. Come on up. Keep your right knee bent. Slide your left leg back over. kind of like where we were before. And then come into a twist over to the left. Left hand is behind your hip, right arm over. Press into your left hand to lift. Don't worry about the twist so much as I want you to find that lift up through your spine. If that's all you can do with no twist, that's great. If you're able to find some lift, then maybe find a little bit of twist without leaning too far back. Good. Slowly release. And let's come into that butterfly pose one more time. So having a nice wide open butterfly, pull the heart forward, pull that sternum forward, tip forward. Find this one more time. Press heels in towards each other. Try to see if you can feel your low back lengthen by pressing your tailbones into the floor. And just stir like there's a string out your sternum and somebody's pulling you up, but your tailbone is glued to the floor. Knees are going wide all at the same time. Good. Come on back up. Shift your left knee so it's parallel to the mat. Come onto your left hand and then walk your right foot up and over. So your left leg, the bottom leg is at a 45-degree angle. And then walk your left hand forward and out more. And then start to that tip forward versus opening chest up. We're tipping forward and again using the floor as leverage. So pressing your whole entire left hip, left leg, left calf into the floor, pressing your left hand down and away and finding that open and stretch through the left side body, your left hip crease. Right leg is pressing back. You can even have your right forearm onto your thigh. Find some nice big long breaths here. Notice if you're dumping and shrugging your shoulder up, pull it down. Got to engage just a bit through that upper back, tuck in and plugging in your shoulder blade. Maybe you got to play around with this before you find the right movement here of where you feel what's happening and what you like happening within your left connections of your hip. And you can stay here, or when you're ready, start to keep twisting over to the left. Legs stay as they are. Maybe you stay on your hands, chest trying to turn towards your hands, or coming onto your forearms, any amount. But again, I'm not collapsing in, I'm pressing and finding some engagement. So even though my back is hurting and I'm trying to work on my low back, if I start doing this too much, all of a sudden my shoulders will start to hurt. So we got to help protect all parts of our body. Breathe in. Nice long exhales. As you try to press your right knee back and away, you're turning your chest towards the floor. Good. Slowly come up. If you're not on your hands already, come up onto your hands. Turn and have your left shin parallel to the mat. And then let the right knee square up. If this is not working for you, sit in an easy cross-legged position. Walk your hands back behind you. Open up your chest like a back bend. Press your pelvis forward. Press your heart forward. Nice long big breaths here. Good. Then let your right leg fall out to straight out from your body. Pull that left foot in towards your right thigh. Take a little turn of your chest so you're in line with your right toes. And again, this pose today, for this moment in time, I don't care about the forward fold so much as I want you focusing on this bent knee and hip. So press the foot, your left foot and right thigh, super hard into each other. and use the floor as leverage to try to get your left hip and left knee into the floor. When you come forward, you might be able to use the floor as leverage better than if you're up high, but it's totally different. We're all built differently. So listen to what works best for your body. Breathing in, nice long extension on your exhale. And slowly come up. Keep your left knee where it is. Take your right foot up and over your left knee. Right hand comes behind your hip. We start the twist, and here again, lift. Find that axial extension, like somebody took a rubber band and they just pull up through your head. Find the lift first. If you got enough with that lift, stay, maybe twist. But without leaning back, you want to lift straight up and then twist. Right shoulder away from your ear. Good. Come back around. And we'll do one more thing before we find a final resting pose. So we're going to come back onto our back, but since we just stretched out all our back, please come down this way. Roll to your right or left forearm, and then come down and roll onto your back. That way you're not tucking and kind of jarring your back by just coming straight backwards. And then we'll come into a forward fold, but on our back. So this is not plow pose. This is not shoulder stand. This is a forward fold, but on our back. So legs come up, roll onto your back, and take your hands across your calves, and then try to get your legs parallel to the floor. Once you're there, suck your belly in, and as you pull your feet back behind you, tug, not tuck. Try to lengthen your low back like you're gonna press your tailbone to the floor. It's definitely not gonna go anywhere. You can widen your feet as much as you need to. You can hold with your hands versus clasping your hands on your ankles. And as you're trying to get your toes back behind, press, lengthen through your low back like you're trying to fight it, and bringing your tailbone or your low back, your lowest part of your spine, your tailbone to the floor. And then feel that stretch of the low back as you do it. Slowly release. Grab the outsides of your feet. Come into a happy baby. Rock a little side to side. Place your feet on the floor. Walk your feet a little wider than hip width. Knock your knees together. We'll end like we started in constructive rest pose. Taking your hands on your belly. Relaxing your shoulders. Lengthening your neck. Slight tuck of your chin. Soften your face. Soften your forehead and eyes. And take a moment here, or many moments, for as long as you need, to just let your body kind of absorb what it just did. Stay here as long as you want and need. If you're ready to start coming out, roll to one side. Probably your right side. If it's your left, that's cool too. Let yourself hang out in this little squish in pose, right on your side. Fetal position, that's what it's called. Mind went blank there for a moment. And then press with both hands into the floor to, with ease, come up to a seat. Take a moment here in your seat. Let your shoulders relax and fall away from your ears. Maybe bring your hands at your heart in Anjali Mudra. Take a big inhale in through your nose. Fill up with everything you love in this life. And then exhale. Let go of everything that no longer serves you. One last time since I ruined those words. Inhale. And then exhale. Namaste, friends. Thank you so much.